The Unquestionable Podcast, brought to you by members of the Unquestionable Presence Guild on Stormrage EU.
It's Wednesday the 15th of August. This is the Unquestionable Podcast. I'm Wolfshot, the Worgen Hunter, and joining me today are two co-hosts. You know him as the Warlock by Night, Guildmaster Extraordinaire all the time, Andy Mack. Hello to you.
Hi once again, how you doing?
Not too bad, thank you very much. How's your week in Warcraft?
My week in Warcraft has been very good, as I will explain in progression later on. How about you?
Yeah, it's been good. I've been taking some time out to level some alts. Well, level them a little bit. Just sort of like get them up nearer. I think I've reached that uncomfortable point where most of my alts are at Outland, so I now don't want to play them. But I'll get through them. I'll get through them in due course. Next up.
I take it you don't mean the server. I take it you mean the area in Stormrage.
Yeah, they're Outland. They're in the BC content, and
Right. No worries.
I don't know. Just looking forward to going through Hellfire Peninsula again. I don't know if I can do it. Anyway, next up, you know him from the podcast a couple of episodes now. He's been a guest, but I can happily announce he's no longer a guest. He's a fully fledged co-host of the show. Welcome back, Bytes.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Applause.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're fully a part of the team now.
Excellent.
Good to have you on board.
How does it feel?
It's nice to be fully integrated. I feel like one of the team now instead of just someone coming on and doing a guest stint. I feel like I've got a proper role now.
There you go. You've got a place. Of course, I failed to point out there that he's, like myself, a hunter extraordinaire.
Yeah, again, I just feel so outnumbered. I mean, it's like,
Well, wait until the stampede comes.
at least
yeah,
we're all
then
ranged.
you'll
At least,
feel
I mean,
outnumbered.
at least we're all ranged. There is that. You know?
Yeah.
It's the Range DPS podcast brought to you by Unquestionable Presence. No, I think that'd be a very linear podcast. Shoot, die, move on.
One thing we can't do is team pets, but you guys have got that.
Yeah, we got that one covered.
Hey, well, it will happen for Warlocks. I know it. I mean, we're just loved so much. I think.
Bytes, how's your week in WoW been?
Surprisingly, I'm still the poorest person on the planet. Even though I've managed to get my enchanting up to 520 now, which costs me all of my spare gold. But hopefully that will improve at some point in the near future.
I've got a really sort of like pauper style story for my my paladin. It came to raiding the other night, and I'd been working for a sort of like a number of hours on it on a new transmog look, and realised I'd burnt through all of my money, and I was like, oh, I've got one more piece to get for me transmog. It's on the auction house. I just get that, transmog it. So I took the money out of the guild bank that was there for repairs. I bought my piece of transmog, transmogged it. We got in the raid. We had a wipe. I went to get a repair, and it was like, I've got no money. I've used the guild bank money as well. Yeah, I'll just stay at 80%.
I take it you were on your paladin,
I was indeed.
because I was going to say, yeah, Wolfshot should be able to take it.
No, I was on one of my alts, my paladin. So I had to wait until we'd downed a couple of bosses, so I'd got a bit of gold, so I could repair my equipment.
Oh god,
That's true raiding right there.
That was.
that is exactly what that is. That's dedication.
Only being able to progress once you've killed the boss is proper raiding.
Yeah,
So-
no repairs until. So yeah, that was my my hardcore raid.
It sounds like the three of us have had a fairly eventful week in the old World of Warcraft anyway. So which is always good fun. And
Indeed.
there's going to be more to come very soon.
most definitely. I mean, talking of busy weeks for Worldcraft, there's also plenty of news as per usual. So let's head on into it.
We interrupt your regular broadcast to bring you this important news bulletin.
Bytes. We've seen some articles lately about professions and sort of like different mats and little changes that they're bringing in Mr. Pandaria. Tell me about them.
Right. Well, there is a new item coming in called the Spirit of Harmony, and the best way I can think to describe it is currency that goes across all of your professions. So for individual professions, this item can get you different perks inside that profession. So, for example, for enchanting, you can buy reagents, and engineering, you can buy new mounts and personal goggles, which is quite cool. And these spirits of harmony, they're sort of like the primal motes that have been around in the game since BC, I think.
Yeah.
And they drop off of any mob in Pandaria, which can drop loot. So 10 motes of harmony equals 1 spirit of harmony. So it is basically like all of the primal motes combined into one.
But the thing I found interesting about this is that they're going to be bound on pickup, which means you're not going to be able to just go to the auction house and get some for that recipe you want to craft and then put on the auction house. You're going to have to actually go out into Pandaria and get these yourself.
Which is sort of, I guess, the aim for the Mists of Pandaria expansion, is to get people back out into the world. And I mean, if Blizzard have managed to do that with professions, then well done to them, to be honest, because that's the one thing I would have thought they couldn't have done it with.
Yeah, and I think also it's their way of maybe wanting crafters to be out in the game, instead of, exactly as you put, seeing the world instead of like camping out in front of like an auctioneer hoping to score some cheap mats, as it were. I find this. When I looked at this article, I found it quite confusing, and I'm still finding it a little bit confusing. But I'm sure as I play it, as I actually test it out, then it'll become more logical, or if that's the right word to use.
Yeah, I think it's one of those changes which sort of like there's an awful lot written about it, but at its core, it's a really simple idea that it's either an ingredient for a crafting recipe, or it can be used as a currency.
So where can these vendors be found? Sorry to interrupt you there, James.
No, it's okay. All I was going to say is that they're kind of a little bit like on Wolfshot. I've got blacksmithing, and you can take sort of like Pyrium bars and Elementium bars to the blacksmith, and you trade in so many of them for recipes for blacksmithing plans.
I see, right. Okay,
so I think they're going to work a little bit like that, but more of a, instead of it being Pyrium bars for blacksmithing and being
this will just
sort
be
of like
in the
chef reward tokens like you get for cooking. You're going to have sort of like a unified currency for these things.
So this will just be in the Pandaria areas, I presume.
Yeah, they'll only drop off.
This is just on Pandaria.
Yeah, they'll only drop off the mobs that you find on Pandaria.
Yeah, because I was going to ask a question, but I've actually just found out the answer. The Spirit of Harmony vendor can be found in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. So
such a beautifully sounding place.
Yeah, it really is.
I think that's something Blizzard are going for. They're going for these beautifully deceptive places. You're gonna go to the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, and there's just gonna be pain and anguish and death all around you, which you're gonna have to resolve. You'll be like, this isn't what the flyer looks like.
Well, this brings me to another bit, second part of news. Unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, or living under many rocks, you will know that Gamescom is tomorrow, 16th of August, and the Mists of Pandaria cinematic will be debuting, and I personally can't wait to see what this is going to look like. What about you guys? What's your hopes for this one?
Pandas, to be honest. Lots and lots of pandas. And I hope to see quite a lot of Pandaria itself, because in previous expansion cinematics we've not seen as much of the actual landscape itself. So I hope to see a lot of that this time.
That's very true. I found in the last expansion cinematic, we didn't see much of the world, if you like, and even in Wrath, I think all we seen was almost Ice Crown.
We saw a bit of Ice Crown Glacier.
Yeah, that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. So, what are you hoping from the cinematic, James?
Well, basically, I agree with Bytes. I want to see pandas. I want to see their home lands. I want to see those long sweeping shots of Pandaria's landscape. I want to see like the cherry blossoms sort of like just blowing in the wind across your screen as it pans across like the Jade Forest.
We've had a look at obviously we've talked about the login screen, and it's such a nice login screen as well. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be along
like
those lines.
Like we were saying, just want to see more of Pandaria. Maybe we'll get a Chen Stormstout, the famous Pandaren, sort of.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe
Hopefully.
even like doing the narration for it, which would be
That
nice.
would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice to have some sort of to have that. I mean, I'm personally looking forward to it. I mean, I think from as soon as I possibly can get access, back onto the computer, I'll be YouTubing straight away, looking at, because no doubt tomorrow's going to be full of the cinematic videos, you know.
Yeah,
guys,
I think
this
that'll be
takes me-
something that'll be up really quickly.
This takes me to the other bit of news, which is pretty much telling us again when we found out. Obviously, Mr. Pandaria was being released. Finally, we found out it was being released 25th of September, which was great news for people who've been waiting for it and wanting to know when, because we had all that wild speculation, and it was very wild sometimes, but we got there. But now it's so on. It's very on. The patch 5.04 is going to be released on Tuesday, August the 28th. The same day as Guild Wars 2. Now, we'll be getting the patch on the 29th. The Americans obviously will get it on the 28th. Do you think this will give us enough time, I think, to get used to our talents? It'll give us enough time to get used to a few things. It would be nice to see the pre-event, the pre-MOP event. What do you guys think? What's your guys' opinions on this one? On the patch date, for example, the release?
I think it's probably coincidence that it's coming out on the same day as Guild Wars. I'm not sure whether Blizzard planned that, or whether...
See, you say coincidence, I say marketing strategy. There's been a number of instances where Blizzard has released things at key times.
That's correct.
Like, the last big release that Blizzard had to compete with was SWTOR, and that released in the December, I think. And a number of weeks before is when Dragon Soul hit. Patch 4.3 landed. LFR, sort of like more accessible raiding for people who haven't necessarily got the time to commit to a team on a fixed schedule. The final patch of Cataclysm landed just as people were thinking, oh well, maybe I am gonna get out of WoW for a little bit of time, try SWTOR. I think I haven't got them at hand, but I think if you were to go through the major releases that Blizzard have seen as direct competition, I think they've always put something out
at the same time. Do you know, I'm looking at a few comments, if you like, about the patch. Now, I think some of the comments are pretty ridiculous in my opinion. I know it's maybe a bit strong here, but they're saying, "Oh, I'll be buying Guild Wars 2." I mean, because they're basically people are almost like comparing the patch to an actual game, and then it's like I read another one saying, "I'm going to be cancelling Warcraft." Once Mist of Pandaria comes out, I mean, come on. It's a patch. Of course it's not going to be...
You've given me more content. I'm going to quit.
I mean, that's it. It's a patch. Please don't leave us. It's a patch.
I think the problem is there are the players out there who maybe feel a little bit disenfranchised with World of Warcraft because they're bringing in the Pandaren. They may not particularly care for the reasons why, or even acknowledge the fact that they are already embedded in the Warcraft lore. It's not like Blizzard have sat down at a meeting sort of like a year ago and went, right, what can we put in the game to make kids love it? Kung Fu Panda. That's really not how the whole development process would go for such a thing.
Well, Joe, do you think this is a little bit, well, from what I'm reading on the forums anyway, do you think this is a little bit of saber rattling from people on forums saying, "Oh, I'm going to be quitting Warcraft because of this"?
Well,
do you think they're going to be genuinely surprised, maybe?
I think, yeah, I think Pandaria is definitely going to be a good thing for World of Warcraft, and people who are quitting before it even comes out without trying it, I think there's something wrong there. They should at least try it before they cancel. I mean, what's the point of? I mean, what on earth is the point of just leaving before a massive expansion comes out, which is obviously going to be brilliant. Having heard people from who have played the beta, they've said it's great. So I mean,
thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's almost like people in some of the forums that I've read, they're like saying, "Well, let's not bother with a patch. Let's just get straight into the game." But then again, if you do that, then you're going to have millions of complaints saying, "Well, we shouldn't be given a patch to get us used to the new talents, used to the new what's that? The next thing, the storyline, you know."
It would be amazing to see how many tickets Blizzard get. Sort of like when the patch comes out, of people going, "Well, yesterday my multi-shot worked like this. Now it doesn't. Why have you nerfed me?" So I think basically the patch system allows Blizzard to put out some of the key areas of content they're going to be releasing in a much wider area. So sort of when release day comes, people aren't like, "Oh well, it's completely balked up now and nothing works."
Yeah.
I mean, some of the things we can look forward to in this patch will be things like AoE looting. I suspect. I mean,
AoE looting is going to be fantastic.
Much excitement
we
for that.
We've all been in that, don't we?
Bytes, are you thrilled for AoE looting?
I am very thrilled. It's going to be a lot easier to pull whole dungeons now and just grab all your mage weave cloth and then run out and do it all again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to be so useful. I'm just really looking forward to it.
Right, so I'm correct in thinking that you're maybe thinking along the same lines as I am in terms of which dungeon possibly you may be using it in?
Ooh, you thinking Sholomance?
That's one of them. Scarlet Monastery was the other one as well.
Oh yeah. Also possibly the original Dead Mines if you want some small loot, I guess.
Yeah. It's going to be
a couple of cloth.
Another thing about...
I think so.
Sorry.
I think some of the BC ones as well, there's a couple of boss encounters where if you leave the trash in the room and then just go for the boss, like everyone just piles in. And so it'll be very good for those too. And I know you can pull the whole cathedral wing of Scarlet Monasteries. So I'll be getting some of those in before they change it all. Yeah, so it'll just mean I'll be able to get a few more runs in, get the sort of like Scarlet Crusade tabard. and
Yeah, before they
do
remove
old
it.
school.
And I suppose it's going to be quite handy for people that want to do the transmog thing as well, because they can gather as much things as possible. Then they can almost get home, get back to Stormwind, and just compare what they've got and say, that'd go well with that, and instead of having to, like. Or am I being silly there actually?
Well,
No, I see where you're coming
level
from. I mean,
version-
if you pull the
So I
hold
just had to think of it that way.
Well, the current
I mean,
level
if you pull
version
the
will
whole-
still be in
right.
there, and
Yes.
then there'll also be the level 90 version, but they're sort of like concatenating the wings together for some of them. So this will be like the last instance of it being that 4-winged model.
So Joe, how are you looking forward to the world event that will be coming?
I am, yeah. I mean, I've not really read much about it, but it should be quite good. I've heard it's about Theramore Isle, so I'm looking forward to see what that offers.
Well, that's pretty much all we know about it at this stage, because
It is,
they came out in a blue post this week and basically said that there's not going to be any testing of the world event in the beta. So it is literally going to be one of those things that we're just going to get, and it's just going to be new, and there aren't going to be people who are burnt out on it already.
And that's why I think that when I read things like, oh well, Guild Wars is going to be out in the same day as the patch, that's why I think, oh trust me, there's going to be a hell of a lot of people playing the patch. I mean, I don't believe for 1 second that it's going to be quiet on patch day. It just is not going to happen.
No, definitely not. I mean, Guild Wars is in itself, it's a massive title to launch.
It's of course.
And it is going to have people who go over there. And Blizzard know that that's going to happen. They know that there's going to be games come out that take people's attention because they're the here and now. But what Blizzard rely on is putting out that content that we all know and love, and those hooks that are in you to pull you back in whenever sort of like you come to a wall in another game that doesn't necessarily I don't know, you play another MMO and then you're like, well, they had this in WoW, but they haven't got it in here. I'm just going to go back and play WoW, I think. And it's things like that Blizzard do very, very well. People will point a lot of things Blizzard have done and say, well, they didn't even do that first. But what they do is they take even the ideas they borrow from elsewhere, they take it, they refine it, they make it their own, they make it the best they can. And I think that is what keeps people coming back time and time again.
Yeah, and I think it'll be the same again this time around.
Definitely. I mean, another thing coming in the patch, which I think is another reason why World of Warcraft stays kind of fresh in a way, is the new talent changes will be coming in the patch.
Yeah.
And I mean, Blizzard, this is the single biggest talent change that Blizzard have ever done since World of Warcraft released back in 2004. They've taken that old style of talent tree of where you put so many points in this talent to open the next tier, and then you put so many points in these, and you go down, which was very cookie cutter friendly, and they've stripped all of that out, and they've gone, right, every 15 levels you get a choice of one of 3 talents.
Yeah.
The model they've changed to is sweepingly different.
Yeah. And the patch is going to give well, you would expect people pretty much enough time to get used to the actual release of the actual game itself, to get used to them.
Yeah, and I mean, it also gives Blizzard that
changes.
window of they can see how those talents work at that level, because people are going to be raiding Dragon Soul with those new talents. Dragon Soul's going to be a fantastic mess that first sort of like week, because no one's going to really know definitely 100% how their class is going to play. So just like there's going to be more people on fire, there's going to be more people screaming. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a really good test, though. A raid like Dragon Soul, isn't it? Especially with the new talents.
Yeah, you sort of like see your say like your Fury Warrior who normally does pretty decent DPS on that heroic Ultraxian fight, and he's just languishing at the bottom of the table because they've changed his buttons.
Sorry, your talents are all wrong. You can't come to drag.
and this is it. You're not going to have that period where people are like, huh, he's talented into so and so. People aren't right from like early on. People aren't going to know what the best talents are, and I think this talent system lends itself very well to the long term, where I don't think that there's going to be a ultimate. This is the best talent for every situation to take. Answer. I think we're going to see a lot more. We're going to see people a lot more mobile with their talent changes.
Yep. And of course, with the release of the patch on the 28th, all the raid lockouts are going to be reset. So basically, it means that you're not going to be able to extend a raid lockout beyond the week before the patch release. Just
yeah. So basically, if you're sort of like on Heroic Madness and you've been extending that raid lockout for a couple of weeks now, just because you just want to get Heroic Madness down, whether you like it or not, that's going to get reset and you're going to have to do it all again.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, moving on from the patch news, just a brief note, and that is for all you PvPers out there. Come the 29th of August in the EU, and I'm guessing for the 28th in the US. Those dates will signal the end of the PvP season 11 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working on that as being your timeline, that's your date now set in stone to when it'll all come to an end, and then sort of like after that is when they'll start to determine who's eligible for the end of season rewards. They're saying the process should take about a week.
Your conquest points will be converted to honor points.
Yeah.
Joe, in terms of PvP, have you ever been tempted to try going down that line?
Tempted, yes. Has it been successful at all? No. I've been hit in the face quite a lot by the Horde. It's not been very pleasant. But I was sort of in real life, my real life friends sort of started PvP, and I thought, oh, I might give that a go.
Yeah.
And they are much better at PvP than I am, so I just sort of thought, right, I'm gonna stick to doing PvE.
One of your, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Joe, but one of your real life friends once ganked me. The term ganking means annihilated me, basically, on one of his hard characters. He knows who he is.
Seriously?
Yes.
I did not know that happened. I'll have words with him. I think I know which one you mean as well.
A slash tip hat.
I don't hold grudges.
No, you've just aired the fact that he did such a thing to you on a podcast.
To be fair, both of them ganked me at the same time in Tolbar Ad once. So yeah, I don't hold grudges either.
It's quite funny though when you see somebody, because obviously a lot of people have got characters on Alliance and on Horde side, and they might be in Unquestionable Presence, and they'll say, "Oh, Andy, I killed Riley the other day. I killed Draco the other day. I killed you the other day." It's like, oh, really? Okay, thanks.
Well, I'm going to kill you now.
Well, guess what?
Skull kick. No, I'm not. Even I'm not that bitter. I promise.
Well, talking of PvP, we might as well talk PvE now and go into progression.
It was a very painful process. Progression.
Andy, give us the weekly lowdown on raid progression.
Yes, I will indeed. Here is the lowdown. Probably the most successful week we've had since the start of the expansion. We went to Dragon Soul, led by your very self, on the Thursday, and we downed 2 heroic bosses. This is the second time we've now downed heroic Marshock. This time we downed... Thank you.
I was saving it.
Thank you very much. That was very good. And second, well, for the first time, we also downed heroic Ultraxian.
Yeah, there was
applause?
a couple of moments there where
I was waiting for another applause there, but
oh, well, we can't milk them.
no.
But
that's
go
fine,
on. Just
It
a short
was
one.
a very, very, very close encounter, but you know what? We had a couple of wipes at it, but once the mechanics were worked out, it was fine. There was no problem whatsoever with it. It was it. I mean, I say that it was. We were close to dying, but we still got it. And to me, it was a great effort. And but then we just cleaned up the rest of the raid as usual, and Deathwing died. And we then did a second raid team led by myself. I got, I got a little bit stressed out in it as well. I was just I just really wanted to try and do well on my healer. It made me learn. It's taught me a few things though when it comes to leading a raid on my healer. I used to do it on my warlock all the time, as the guild knows. But on the healer, I find it's more tricky because you do speak less on, say, for example, on the Mumble server, because you're having to concentrate so much more. Because when you're doing PvE, you can basically, well, not all the time, but you can pretty much talk away and fire away, and sometimes you don't even look at the screen. No, not
Secrets
that
out.
good, really. But yeah, that's it. I'm a clicker. I'm this, that, and
Turn with the keys.
But yeah, we got to Spine, I think, on that one.
Yeah.
It was just there was a little bit of what's the word? Uncoordination towards the end, and there was tiredness as well, I think. But it'll happen. I mean, it's just. I thought, looking back at it, I thought it was actually a good attempt.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
we had people on characters which that weren't their mains. We
Absolutely.
had people who hadn't been in the main raid team before, who'd sort of like come in as well. So those people who didn't know the fights on normal, as opposed to sort of like the LFR fights and things like that. So I think the Spine was a success in a way.
Joe, in terms of your character, your hunter Bytes, I was sort of really hoping. I was really wanting you to get the Dragon Soul achievement, the Destroyer's End. Sorry. So I think part of me was a little bit disappointed that some people couldn't get it, and also for my own paladin. But it'll happen. It'll happen. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I mean, I was just happy to finally be able to raid in my Beast Mastery spec,
Mhm.
because I sort of had no other option, because I had to change my marksmanship spec
Yes.
over to a spec with a silencing shot, so I could
Remember you
tame a rare pet in the Firelands.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, good old Om Nom, the giant green devil sword, didn't do too bad.
He didn't. He did fine. He did fine. And Tiggs did very well on the Thursday as well. He didn't die. He didn't die too much, did he, James?
Tiggs is a hero to all. I've come to the conclusion, to be honest.
Now, guys, for people that don't know who Tiggs is, it's Wolfshot's pet, and
It's my pet
he's,
tiger.
he's developing quite a name for himself.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that I just need to point out, and Tiggs would like me to mention this. And one is excessive patting. He's not a fan of. He gets
No.
gruntled. He doesn't get disgruntled
Yeah.
at it. He just gets gruntled.
He just gets grunted.
And yeah, when people do things like fart on him or moon him, he doesn't like it. He's a sensitive
he's-
being.
He is a sensitive. He is a cat, isn't he? He's not a dog.
No, whoa! Oh,
Sorry, I just
there's a
wasn't sure.
schoolboy error there. Tiggs would bite you for that. He's a cat. He's a tiger. He's one of the ones from in Oldham. Before sort of, there's a phased event where you have to go to one of the sort of cities, and before you finish that quest chain, there's
So do you
sort of
guys
like
have
the
all
orange
the-
tigers.
Do you guys have all the spirit beasts?
I've got most of them. I have the crab, actually, I'll tell you which one I don't have. It's the blue one from Storm Peaks, the wolf. That's, I believe, the only spirit beast I don't currently possess.
And I'm the complete opposite. I haven't got any.
Oh, they're great. They're great fun.
Yeah, but it involves going Beastmaster. And I don't.
Which does involve like 10k DPS loss, I understand, but it's not a bad spec if you get
You have
used to
3
it.
specs, you know. Yeah.
I mean, I've got a load of the spiders from the Firelands. The sort of like the what were they called? They were like challenge tames or
Challenge teams, yeah.
which some of them are absolutely hilarious to watch. People who don't know what they're doing, just sort of
Yeah,
like they go in there like they put down the ice trap or something. They're like tame beast, and it just runs over and one shots them, and they're like,
It's,
"What? It didn't even
Yes.
trap them."
it's really silly. I'm sitting here nodding away as if I know things about hunters, which I don't. And I'm like, no, just stop nodding. You don't know you don't know what they're saying. You don't. Just stop.
Well, what I like about sort of like going back to Mr. Pandaria a little bit, they're bringing it in with hunters that you can sort of like choose the spec of your pet. So instead of a pet being a tenacity, a ferocity, or a cunning pet, you actually choose what that pet is. So
Cunning pets is nice.
yeah, I mean, usually cunning pets are used for PvP. Ferocity is a DPS pet, and tenacity is the pet you would use when you're out solo leveling, or sort of like grinding stuff. But what they're going to allow you to do, if you take a bear for instance, that is normally a tenacity pet.
Right.
It's a tanking pet.
Okay.
But come Mr. Pandaria, you're going to be able to choose to make it a cunning pet and take it into a PvP arena.
Right.
So you're just going to be able to, it's going to give you more choice of how your pet behaves. So I'm going to be able to use Terrapin, the lava turtle, as a DPS pet, rolling into mists, which I'm looking forward to.
I'm just looking forward to the Crocolisk, which I tamed in Stormwind. I'm just really looking forward to
yes.
using that.
Yeah, that looks like it'd be a fun pet to use.
Yeah.
Going back to the progress, just to
Yeah,
finalise
slightly
the
derailed.
section. No, that's okay. That's always nice to hear.
Hunter talk.
Some nice hunter views. Yes. Going back to to finish off the progression section. Been doing a few arenas. As I say, this is sort of again related to the PvP, which we don't really do so much in the guild, but it's been more so. We've been doing a few battlegrounds. We've had a few successes. Some have been quite fun. They are fun when you're using the Mumble server. I find an arena. I've enjoyed arena. I've joined an arena team with one of the guildies called, well, 2 of the guildies. I alternate between teams. I've got 2v2 teams. I've got that out eventually. One's with a character called Temps, also known as Joe, and other is another one called Halal. Both who are main core in the main core raiding team, the heroic sort of team as I like to call them now.
Yeah, the heroes.
And yes, and had great success with both of them, and we've had a few good streaks. So I'd like to say thanks to them for coming along and doing some arena with me. And that's my take on. That's my
Yeah, it's
take
good to
on
hear
the-
that the
on that.
sort of like the PvP side is sort of like gathering momentum. I know sort of like a number of episodes ago we were sort of like talking about it and how sort of like it just needed that injection of people saying actually
definitely did.
let's give this a try, and
Yes.
and people have done that, and it's starting to take off. It's starting to get legs.
It's just been good.
I mean, moving out of progression now. Just want to take an opportunity where we'd normally sort of like take some time to talk to you about a topic or something we'd sort of like speak to a guest about. Take this bit of time to talk about something that's up and coming for the podcast. and this is going to be starting pretty much immediately next week. And we are going to be going through the encounters that will comprise Mogashon Vaults, the first raid tier in Mr. Pandaria.
Excellent.
I mean,
So we're gonna be talking about...
I'm looking forward to this. I mean, we're going to be sort of like going through the bosses in sort of like a natural order that you will come across them in sort of like in Raid Finder, in normal modes. And I think the way time works out, we will be doing one a week up to the lead of the launch of Mr. Pandaria.
So you're not going to need fat boss videos anymore, guys. Just listen
All
to
you
the
need
podcast.
is us.
Exactly. You know.
Disclaimer: you probably will.
Yeah.
Still
I
need
will.
But yeah,
But I think
we'll sort of like take a bit of a look and put up links and stuff that we found useful or we'll reference in the show notes, and sort of like see what they've got in store for us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that myself.
Surviving Azeroth this week. This isn't something I've ever used before, so I'm going to hand it over to someone else who wants to talk about Reforginator.
Now,
I'll
Joe, thank you, Joe. I was like, ugh.
Andy was thinking, how can I engineer a "here go, Joe," but
safe
like a
today.
champion,
Thank
rode in, took it by the scruff of the neck, and said, "I'll take this one, guys."
Okay, so Reforginator is a little add-on that you get around the outside of your mini-map, and you click it, and it tells you the best way to reforge all your gear, so you have optimal, should I say, stats for your character. So it gives you the right amount of hit you need to always hit a level 85 boss and never miss.
Right.
So it takes all this information from a source on the internet. I've forgotten the name of it, but I know Wolfshot said it earlier.
Is it the one that links into a WoW Reforge?
That's the one.
Yeah.
So it takes information from there. So you always get the best stats that you possibly can. It takes all the important ones and gets them up to the place that they need to be at, and then it takes, for example, on a hunter, crit and haste, and pushes them up as high as they can go.
That's really
so
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it maximizes DPS or healing or being a sponge and tanking things.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is in previous Surviving Azeroth, I've spoke about WoW Reforge before, and sites like Ask Mr. Robot we've spoke about as well. The key difference here is you don't have to leave the game. This is a part of your UI. You can just pull this up, and it can just pull in. It says, right, this is what you need to do. You don't have to alt tab out. You don't have to pull up the browser with the site, then sort of like keep switching between the two.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes life a lot easier because you don't have to do that. Yeah.
Another thing that makes it quite easy is you've got a couple of options. You've got consider reforging anything. So that will take all of your items and say, right, unreforge this and then reforge it back into another thing.
Okay.
And that'll do all of your items and tell you exactly what to do for every single item. And then for another option, which is leave reforged items alone. So all the items that you already have reforged, it will ignore and simply take the items that you haven't reforged and push it up to as best as it can using those.
Right. Okay.
So if you're low on gold, that's probably, like me, that's probably the best way to go.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I've noticed from like the screenshots and stuff, it's got all the sort of like the built-in models already that are sort of like pre-made, but you can go in and you can make a new model. So if you're one of those people who are absolutely into their min-maxing, you can go in there and you can enter in your own sort of like stat weights and stuff, and you can build your own model that you can work from.
Very nice looking add-on indeed.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice
think
choice.
it's certainly going to be something I'm going to have a look at.
Very nice choice.
It's helped me out a lot. It's very useful. I recommend getting it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
we've said it before. There's plenty of people out there who haven't got the foggiest what they should be sort of reforging into, out of, or even need to a certain extent. And something like this, just it points you in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that sort of that boost up, that help that it offers is just invaluable.
Yeah. There are some add-ons out there that are really, really helpful, and this is definitely, I would say, one of the best ones I've seen so far that we've covered.
It's definitely up there with them.
Absolutely.
Right. As some of you may remember, or are aware because you
I know what's
sent
coming
us
up.
your
Yeah.
submission, we ran a little challenge last week for you to send us your best Pandaren names, and we've had a number of entrants, and it's been nice. We have picked out a winner. The council of us have picked out one. But some of the notable mentions first. We'll give them a little time to shine, and to give you the little laughs that we've got. Temps in our very own guild. He's gone for Pandruff. I like it. I like it.
That's one of my favourite ones as well. Very good name.
I'm trying to think of a shampoo-related joke I can use now, but nothing's coming to me.
I was going to say Head and Shoulders and stuff like that, but then you've got to start saying, well, other shampoos are available. You know, like
Yeah, because they don't sponsor this. So
for
they're
example.
not, yeah, then no one. They're not sponsoring the show, so they're not getting any free advertising from us. Andy, I pick one of your others as a fave.
There is another one. Sorry for being a bit slow here. There's one called Multi-Kick. It's not particularly one of my favourites. I just can't quite understand it.
Well, I think they're going for the monk, aren't they? They're going for those fast kicks. They're going for the monk. And that was sent in by Multi Arrow, so we know where you're going with that one.
Also, the other one is from Beastie, level 85 Worgen, yet another hunter.
Yeah,
the guild, and he has came up with the name Yin Yang. He has said he will be a Pandaren monk when the expansion is released. I think that the podcasts are great for advice on my gameplay, and it is a source of pride for our guild and people like me to get to hear what our friends that we play online, what we sound like. And that's also a very, very much appreciated comment. Thank you very much for that.
Indeed, yeah, thank you very much. And if anyone else has got any comments, send them in. But let's not derail from the fact that we do have a name that we picked out that we thought was the best one. Bytes, take it away.
And the winner of the competition and the winner of 5,000 gold is Spring Roll, sent in by Salad Dodger, the Warlock.
Spring Roll, get it? Yeah, I when that came through, I was like, I like that one. They've kept it simple. When the Pandaren was shown off at BlizzCon, everyone come back saying they've got this ability, they've got roll, and you can sort of like just dart around the place. Tapped into that, gone with the Asian food influence, because we know
it's
the
almost
Pandaren
like a
love their food.
It's almost like a multi-pun. There's three sort of things in there.
Yeah.
You've got rolling, you've got which mugs do. You've got spring, sort of they spring about everywhere, and then you've got spring roll, which is obviously
Oriental food stuff.
Oriental food.
And yeah, and we know the Pandaren love their food.
And that,
And beer.
ladies and gentlemen, is our winner of the competition.
Yep, so congratulations to Salad Dodger.
Well done, winner of 5,000 gold.
Indeed, stop dodging those salads and have a look at your inbox sometime soon.
Now, this is something I would like to just before we call it on another podcast. feedback is greatly
Appreciate it.
it's appreciated. Exactly, that's the word. Tiredness is setting in, so it took me a while to get there. Guys, feel free to send us your feedback. As I say, we always look for guests also to come into the show to talk about their experiences. Now, not just necessarily from the guild, we're also hoping even from the realm, which we've had before. We've had people from other guilds come onto the podcast just for 10-minute stints, quick Q&A sessions, their experiences of the game, their experiences of raiding, things like that. So feel free to email us on unquestionablepodcast@gmail.com, and the website, I should really know.
It's
That's no-
unquestionablepodcast.engine.com.
And you will find the podcasts on there. You'll find all the podcasts on there.
Yeah,
From day one.
you'll find a lot. You'll find the archive of the podcast. You'll find the show forums. You'll find guild forums if you're a member of the guild, and there's a whole wealth of information. We're trying hard to sort of like make it a central place where people can go, where there's a community for people to get involved in. So come along and join in the big conversation with us. It would be great to have you along.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's us done for another week.
Yes. Hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed tonight's one. It's been a fun experience.
Indeed.
This?
We're now. This is the close of our 17th episode. I haven't quite worked out what episode number we'll be on for the launch of Mists, but we'll be into our 20s, so that'll be nice.
Yes, it will be good.
For those coming to the podcast now at a later stage, I'd go back now and listen to the older episodes, because if you decide to do that after sort of 50 episodes, it's such a much more of a mammoth task.
Yeah.
And there's all the usual stuff that you expect. We've got guests, we've got surviving Azeroths, we've got some quite surreal ones like me flying by the seat of my pants on my own. Probably best not to listen to that one.
I thought you did well.
It was memorable for probably the wrong reasons.
We also had quite a few when it was just yourself and me that were doing them for a while.
Indeed.
And I had to speak more, and I was like, oh no, I don't like this. No, I didn't mean that
more
at all.
words. Say more words.
But it's great now to have yourself, Joe, as part of the team.
Thank you. It's really nice to be part of the team.
Yeah.
So me and Andy can now sit back and we can do less. Only joking. We'll still be doing the same amount. We'll just make more. We'll just make more content for everyone. So yeah, as Andy mentioned, email us unquestionablepodcast@gmail.com. Visit the website unquestionablepodcast.engine.com, and you can find the show via iTunes as well. You can leave us comments there. You can rate us. You can tell us how wonderful we are. That would be nice. And until next time, we'll see you again.
We'll see you next week, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.